Okay, hi everyone. Welcome back again to another weekly vlog. I actually am not going to be really showing you any cooking today. I'm just going to give you an update on what I tested. I feel like I have to be a little bit more choosy about what I actually show because my sister helps to edit my vlogs and I can easily just like film everything and talk too much and then it ends up being like a 40-minute video, which it should really be like 20 to 25. Not that I was showing everything before either, but I just didn't feel like I needed to film today's thing, and I was kind of in like a groove, and I just honestly didn't really feel like getting my camera out. But I'm going to show you what I made. So there are these things called lefse. It essentially is a potato pancake, and it is a super Norwegian thing, and you eat it with sugar and butter, or you can eat it with like butter and cheese, or you can also wrap it around hot dogs, which is how we used to eat it a lot when we lived in Norway. So I am from Sweden, half Swedish, and we lived in Sweden for a while growing up, but we also lived in Norway for a few years when I was maybe like 8, and we would eat these all the time. This is what it looks like. They're super thin. I know recipes make them kind of differently, but my recipe is going to be just super traditional, basic potato, butter, flour, and salt. I know some traditional recipes don't even use butter, but a lot of American recipes use cream and sour cream and sugar and some other things, so I'm just keeping it super simple. And so what it looks like, kind of an interesting recipe because you have to be very okay with not adding a ton of flour. You still do add a decent amount of flour, but the consistency of the dough will make you want to add more flour. Like, it should still be pretty sticky and pretty like hard to work with, I guess, or soft, if that makes sense. But I'm super happy with these. You just add more flour as you roll them out, and I think I'm gonna film the recipe for social maybe on Friday. I was gonna do it next week, but I'm hosting a big dinner with Eddie at Eddie's Grocer next week, so I'm not gonna have time to do it on Monday. And yeah, this recipe made about 16, and I would say 16 large, maybe like 20 smaller, but super happy with these. And I actually got sausages because I didn't know what to make for dinner tonight, and I also really don't feel like cooking, and we also have like no food, so I went and got sausages at the store nearby, and I'm thinking we can just have sausages rolled in the lefse. Lucas is gonna be like, what is this? Like, if you're so used to just having a hot dog bun with a hot dog, it sounds weird to essentially wrap it in tortilla, but it is definitely way better, I think, in my opinion. I've also been planning out the week, and I feel like I'm trying to get ahead. I feel like it's kind of a weird week. So I'm gonna make a pavlova for Valentine's Day. Basically, I'm not gonna post it this week, but I have a ton of egg whites that I don't want to throw away, and I figured I may as well just make it, and then I'll post it in a few weeks. And then I am making a beef and ale pot pie, which I was gonna make today, but it's already 6:30 and it wouldn't be done until like 9, so I'm just gonna do tomorrow, and then I'll be able to get a good photo of it anyway. And then I'm gonna make a few other things, but kind of still TBD on that. I'm gonna test a few other recipes because I'm trying to get ahead for the next few weeks, and then also have to make something for my Friday Fika series on Friday. Here is a close-up of the potato lefse, so you can see how soft and like malleable they are. And after they come off the stoves, because you cook them in a bunch of flour, and then you just kind of brush it off, and then you keep them in a kitchen towel like this to keep them super soft. Okay, today is Wednesday, and I'm wearing the same outfit as I was yesterday because I really liked the outfit. And I was planning to film yesterday, but then I really didn't get any filming done, so I figured why not just wear the same exact thing. These are some of my new favorite jeans. They're from Frame, and they're pretty low rise. I usually don't wear a lot of low rise, but I actually love these. They're super comfy, and it's also hard to find black jeans, I think, that I really like. They're a bit long, but I just fold, or I just cuff them, which I actually like because then I can make them longer for when I wear heels or like heeled boots when I'm going out, or just cuff them when I'm like at home, and I think it still looks cute. And then this is from Linus, I think. So I actually have a pavlova baking in the oven right now. It is gonna be like a 2-tier pavlova. I was having a hard time deciding how I wanted to shape it because I feel like I've done the like kind of fun swirly piping, and then I made the regular ones, and I made a lot of wreaths, and so this time I'm gonna do a like a double layer. And then I'm also now gonna get started on the beef pot pie that I was telling you about last night. I always feel like I need to make a bigger version than I need to, but the reality is like it's only Lucas and I don't need to make a pot pie that serves like 10 people because I mean, I guess I could freeze it, but I'm assuming if you are making this and you are feeding a family of like 6 or 8, then you could just double the recipe. I'm just gonna use 1 pound of beef. This is just stew meat. And then I'm gonna use the puff pastry that I made last week. I can't remember if I showed that in the vlog or not, but you definitely don't have to make homemade puff pastry. You can definitely just use store-bought, but because I have it and it's made, I figure I may as well use it. I'm gonna change back into this when I finish the pavlova, but because I want it to look like I'm filming on 2 different days, I am gonna change into something else for the pot pie. Okay, this is the shirt I landed on. I feel like I am always in black, either black or blue or white or gray. And I also feel like I'm starting to run out of clothes, but I also am trying to be mindful of not buying too many clothes right now. Also, my hair looks exactly the same. I just pinned up the little piece that was hanging. So I'm gonna prep all the vegetables. I have a really sad looking half onion left, but it still is good enough to use, so I'm just gonna use that. And then I think that they need to stop making tomato paste in cans. I usually try to buy the tubes whenever I can, but it is so annoying when you only need like a tablespoon of tomato paste and then you put it in the fridge and then you don't use it for like a week or something. And it does hold up pretty well in the fridge, but still it's really hard to keep it fresh. What I have to do is start putting it in little cubes in the freezer, but no more cans. Okay, so I just finished obviously making the filling for the pot pie. It does have to cook for about an hour and a half, so I'm gonna do 45 minutes with the lid on and then 45 minutes with the lid off because there's a lot of liquid in there and it all has to kind of cook off. It's not gonna make a huge difference in terms of like how it's gonna taste, but in the recipe I'm definitely gonna make a note of this. Basically, I just forgot to add the tomato paste when I was like browning the mushrooms and the celery and stuff like that, and then I added it instead with the stock and the ale. Usually you obviously want to brown the tomato paste to kind of give off like a slightly more caramelized, deeper flavor, but again, it's not going to make a huge difference, especially because it is going to cook for so long anyway. The pavlova is actually almost done. It has 9 minutes left in the oven, and I'm actually thinking that maybe I don't assemble it until tomorrow because I'm meeting a friend at 4 and the day's already going by so fast, and I really want to prioritize this pot pie and just make it look really delicious, get a good photo of it. And the meringue is gonna hold until tomorrow. I'm gonna end up having to wear the same outfit as yesterday again tomorrow to film for the pavlova, so it's a lot of like switching back and forth. Like, it's so, social media is so funny this way. I guess I don't have to do that, but I just want to. I'm also gonna bake something else tomorrow for my Friday fika series, but I just feel like tomorrow I have a little bit more time and it will be less stressful to put more effort into the pavlova tomorrow. I also just always forget when I'm planning my day how much time I also need for like admin work, like emails, editing, writing down my recipes. I also am really trying to be better about writing down my recipes as soon as I'm finished cooking, because if I don't do that, I just start to forget small things, and then it also takes up a lot of time in the middle of my day if I'm already doing stuff. So trying to do the recipes at least by the end of the day is helping me a lot so far. Okay, so I just finished making the filling. I was a little bit unsure about the beer that I used, because I used a pale ale from Sierra Nevada, and I was a little concerned that it wasn't going to give enough depth and was going to be a little bit hoppy, but it actually worked out totally fine, I think, because it wasn't an IPA. And then towards the end, I felt like it was kind of lacking a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of flavor, so I feel like people are going to have something to say about this. But I actually added some ketchup, and ketchup is really common to add in a lot of Swedish meat dishes like bolognese, stews. You eat it with like pasta, you eat it with so much in Sweden, and here I feel like you more so just use tomato paste. I actually did add a little tomato paste, I mentioned that earlier before, but I might just take that away from the recipe and just have you add ketchup, because it did add a really good flavor. I mean, honestly, in the recipe I'll call for like you can use tomato paste or ketchup, but this is my preferred. I also wasn't really sure what to bake it in, but I do think this is going to be the perfect size. I have a square dish that I kind of wanted to use, but I feel like it's a little bit too deep, and I would much rather kind of it go up than be super low, so I think this is what I'm going to use. Like, I just tested it in this other bigger pie form, and I thought it would be the perfect amount, but it's still a little bit too shallow. Okay, here's the pie, and I did like a cool little border and then brushed it with egg wash and then cut little slits in the middle. Okay, here is the final pie. It looks delicious. I was so nervous I was gonna burn it. If I hadn't set a timer for the last 5 minutes, I definitely would have burned it. The pastry, I think, looks pretty good. I hope it is super flaky when we actually cut into it, but I actually love the size and I'm really happy with it so far. But now we're gonna taste it. I was a little concerned it was gonna look a little bit too eggy on top, but I actually think it looks pretty good. Okay, back into my original outfit, but here are the meringues. Whoa, the lighting is not doing these justice. I'm actually really glad that I decided to finish the pavlova tomorrow, because I actually don't have time. It's already 3:15. So I'm gonna wrap these up really tightly, and then they'll be good to use for tomorrow. So we'll see them. Okay, good morning. Shocker, I'm back in the same outfit from the last 2 days, and also same hairstyle. I am definitely gonna change into fresh clothes after I finish this video, but I'm gonna make the pavlova today. For the pavlova, I just finished making some like raspberry strawberry jam, and I'm letting that cool in an ice bath. And then I have a single passion fruit. I know it's not like passion fruit season necessarily, but I could only find one in the store. They only had one left. And then I also have some freeze-dried strawberries, and I'm trying to decide if I want to just crush them and sprinkle them on top or do like a dusting. I think I'm gonna do a dust because I think that could be really pretty. And I saw someone do that on a picture on Pinterest, and I thought it looked really nice. And then I also have whole or sliced raspberries and sliced strawberries that I'm gonna do on top, and then whipped cream. Keep it pretty simple, and I'm like, in my head I'm still not exactly sure how I'm gonna style it, but I feel like it's gonna come together. I actually really haven't used or baked with freeze-dried fruit or berries a lot in the past, but I made a recipe last year for Valentine's Day that I actually kind of want to remake again this year, because they were like brownies with this really delicious cream on top and freeze-dried raspberries, I think. But I think it's such a fun way to obviously add color but also add natural flavor too. I don't love using like fake flavors like extracts and stuff like that unless it's vanilla or almond. I'm trying to get this out. And then obviously, yeah, really fun way to use color. Look at that. I'm getting ready to assemble the pavlova. So here I have the meringue, obviously, that's just 1/2. Strawberries, raspberries, the strawberry raspberry jam, the passion fruit that I'm gonna do on top, the whipped cream, and then the powdered freeze-dried strawberries. Usually when I make a pavlova, I do end up doing like 2 cups of whipped cream, and I feel like I'm always a little bit unsure because it really depends on, like, if you are just gonna spoon on whipped cream, then you don't need an exact measurement because it doesn't have to be so even. You can kind of just like spread it around. When you're piping something, you always need more than you think, because it's the worst too when you're like piping a design and then you run out and then you don't have enough to finish it. So I did end up whipping 2 cups of cream, so the whole pint. I actually do feel like I'm gonna use all of it because that's kind of like the only or the main like filling. If I was doing a custard or curd too, I would do less. This is what's hard when you don't recipe test something first, and I didn't feel like I needed to recipe test the pavlova because I made them so many times before. But design wise, in my head, I'm like, okay, should I spread the whipped cream on top, or should I pipe in like a star pattern or a round pattern? And since the meringue is piped in like a fun striped star pattern, I think I'm gonna do like cute, basically I have a round piping tip, so I'm gonna do some kind of like round shape, and then the jam is like the organic part, and same with the other topping. Okay, so I actually think I might not have quite enough whipped cream. I think I ended up using about half for the bottom, and now I'm just trying to get it so that some of the jam will kind of like come show through the cracks, make it look pretty. Okay, it doesn't really show. May have to add more. Okay, I think that should be good. Okay, now I'm just gonna layer on the rest of the topping, and we'll see how it turns out. Okay, as you know, I honestly had no idea how this was gonna turn out, but let's see if I can get a better lighting. It looks stunning. I really do like the kind of like rounded whipped cream, and I think with the powder, I think less is more, so I didn't do anything crazy. I just kind of kept it concentrated to certain areas. But yeah, gorgeous.